Hey, good day, folks. I hope everybody's doing great today. Uh, I welcome you guys to Hagerstown, Indiana, which is located in the eastern region of Indiana. It's towards the eastern central region of Indiana. Now, Hagerstown is a town that it's got a population of 1,681 people. As of 2020 census, it has lost 5.9% of its people. The population used to be 1,787 people. Now, Hagerstown has been losing people steadily since the 1970 census. The only year where Hagerstown actually gained people was during the 2010 census, which during 2010 they gained 1.1% population, which at that time the population was 1,787 people, as I mentioned a second ago. Now, the population of this town peaked back during the 1970 census at 2,059 people. And I'm going to go ahead and assume that the reason why this town is losing people is because of how far it's located from larger cities and from larger cities. Yeah, like for an example, the closest city to here is going to be Indianapolis, which is located 60 miles southwest of here. And also, as far as how long it takes to get to Indianapolis, you're looking at about an hour drive each way. Now in miles, Noblesville, Indiana is a little closer to here. 46 miles northwest of here, you'll be in Noblesville. Now, however, the time that it takes to get to Noblesville from here is going to be close to that hour mark. So, basically, in a nutshell, in order to have access to larger economies, larger metro area, you're looking at about an hour drive. Now, whatever amenities you may not be able to find here in Hagerstown, you have Newcastle, which is 11 miles southeast from here. Just continue to go down 38, and you'll ultimately will run into Newcastle. And if you're still on 38, you'll run into Noblesville. So Newcastle and Noblesville is basically a straight drive from on this road. But there's a lot of people that, when it comes to employment, they may not want to drive to Indianapolis or Noblesville to go to work. Now, however, there are jobs in Newcastle, and there's probably a couple of jobs even here in Hagerstown, but I would say most people that live here in Hagerstown most likely drives to Newcastle to go to work. And whatever they can't find in Newcastle, they probably drive to either Indianapolis or Noblesville. So I would say that would be my only guess of why I think the population here is declining. And I'm going to say one more thing. And there's always a chance that I could be wrong. But I'm going to assume that for the 2030 census, even though the population right now has shrunk by 5.9% as of 2020. I'm going to assume that for 2030, it's very real a possibility that the population can go back up. And why do I say this? Well, I say this for a couple of reasons. Reason A, as I've said before on this channel, one of the reasons why I began this channel, you got more people that are abandoning the idea of living in the big city or the suburbs due to A, the cost of housing in those places, the higher tax liability, higher crime in parts of the metro, and you got more people that prefer to live in smaller communities like Hagerstown. Yeah, look at that little property across. Look at that little property here. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But anyways, and another reason why I anticipate the population here increasing by the 2030 census is because I've done several videos of Newcastle, Indiana. And I've always thought Newcastle was a decent place to reside. Now, when I compare Newcastle to other places I've done videos on, and when I compare Newcastle to, let's say, Marion, Anderson, even Kokomo, when it comes to overall, when it comes to crime in Newcastle is lower than all the other cities that I just named off. Now, I've had people come at me on some of those videos and they tell me, I don't know what I'm talking about. I must not know Newcastle. And you know what? I did not grow up in Newcastle. So you're right, I don't know about Newcastle the way that some of you people that lived in Newcastle may know about Newcastle. You're absolutely correct. Now, what I said about Newcastle was based off of a couple of things. It was based off of some data that I looked up about Newcastle. Now, yes, Newcastle does have a very high property crime rates. It's insanely high. And yes, Newcastle does, like many other cities anymore, Newcastle does have its fair share of issues when it comes to crimes that are drug related. You know, you got people that are ODing and things of that nature. But when it comes to violent crimes, like, you know, the type of crimes that you would see a little more play out in Anderson or Marion or Muncie, crimes that are more violent, you don't see as many of those type of crimes in Newcastle as you do in those other places. But saying all that, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that some of the people that are moving here to Hagerstown are probably moving here from places like Newcastle. Because you got people that, for whatever reason, they're sick and tired of Newcastle. Maybe they're tired of all the drugs. Maybe they're tired of, maybe you got people that are from Newcastle that move here because they may not like the way that Newcastle's going in terms of some of the people that are moving to the city and things of that nature. So I'm going to assume that between the people that are moving here from probably Newcastle and people that are moving here from other larger communities, I'm going to assume by 2030 the population is going to start to increase here, not decrease. And I will say, ever since the last video I made in Newcastle, and the reason why I keep talking about Newcastle, even though this is Hagerstown, is because of how close Newcastle is to Hagerstown. And I will say, there's been some areas in Newcastle that I've driven through at one point or another that look, if I didn't know any better, if someone were to just go to that particular area and take footage of that area, I would have assumed that they were probably driving around West Anderson, or they were driving around in some parts of Muncie or Marion. Because there are parts of Newcastle that, yeah, the area does look a little rough and ran down. Very true. And I will say, when it comes to Hagerstown, Hagerstown is a clean area. It appears to be quiet and fairly low key. I haven't ran into any part of Hagerstown that I would say is run down. I mean, this town is clean, it's quiet. I mean, it's definitely the ideal place to move to if you're looking for a small town living in eastern Indiana. Now, however, if you want to move here to Hagerstown, if you're looking to rent, your median rent prices are going to go from $570 to $1,150 per month. And if you're looking to purchase, right now there's not really a whole lot for sale. There's two houses for sale. The one is going to be priced at $195,000. The other one is going to be priced at $395,000. Now, the median home price here, depending on what set of data that you look at, is, now I'm going to go, now, on the low end, your median price for a home here is $157,000. On the higher end, your median home price is $174,000. And that's another reason why I said what I said about Hagerstown, about what could happen to this town by the 2030 census. The fact that there's almost no houses here for sale, and the two houses that are for sale, the cheapest one is priced at almost a couple $100,000. I mean, that tells me that people here are not selling their houses. And it also tells me that people, for the most part, are happy living here in Hagerstown. I mean, like I said, it's a nice, clean town. I've driven all through it, and you'll see it on this video. It's nice and clean. Now, of course, if you're looking for any kind of diversity out here, you're not going to find it. I mean, the population is 97.3% white. All your other ethnic groups are less than 1%. So if you come out here looking for diversity, you're not going to find it. And as I've told you on other videos, that's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It just is what it is. Now we're going to jump over to Niche, and we're going to see how other people feel about this town. Now, out of 15 reviews on Niche, Hagerstown has got a 4 out of a 5-star rating. 7 people say this town is excellent. 2 people rate it very good. 4 people rate it average. 2 people rate it poor. And no one gave it a terrible rating. So let's start reading from top to bottom here. Give me 1 second here. Alrighty, folks. This first one is going to be a long one, but I'm going to read it anyway. Now, this is a 5-star rating from 2 months ago, so it's fairly recent. Hagerstown is a small town in eastern Indiana. I lived here for a few years and absolutely love the town. Everyone is nice to me and treats me like family. Schools are good and the stores they have are pretty decent. I used to drive into the neighboring county of Henry County. They're talking about Newcastle. And on that part, I would say I would say steer away from. I would stay clear away from. That's what they meant to say. And stay local and drive to Richmond. Oh, I forgot to mention that too. I mean, you're not far from Richmond. I mean, you're like, I mean, off the top of my head, you're like maybe a half hour away from Richmond, Indiana. So you're not super far from Richmond, Indiana. I forgot to mention that earlier. Okay, where was I at? Henry County, and then in parentheses they put Newcastle. Cops will harass you, and you won't get a fair chance. They even just go there. They even just to go there for shopping. Richmond is only 15 to 20 minutes drive, so about the same drive as Newcastle. Beware of that town. Okay, this person clearly has got something against Newcastle. Overall thought is a good place to raise a family and to get a fresh start. The only downfall is it can be hard to find a place to rent or buy because the demands are so high. People snatch places up fast. Kind of like what I've anticipated a minute ago. You have to offer higher than purchase price to almost be able to buy a home here because it's such a nice town. Okay, this person needs to do some proofreading on their statement, which is why I kind of thumbed through that a little bit because it was written bad, but whatever. I think you guys get the idea. Okay, here's another one. It's a 5-star. This one is from January of 2020. Hagerstown has been a great town to grow up in. It is very supportive of schools and extracurricular activities. There are many opportunities for kids to grow outside the schools. The local library is recognized as one of the best small town libraries. The town is kept neat, people are friendly, it is very safe. It is about an hour from several major cities and several medium-sized cities. Okay, we're gonna jump down to the 4 stars. Okay, this first one is a 4-star from May of 2022. Hagerstown is a small rural town with a population of less than 3,000 people. Most everyone is welcoming and open to new people. There isn't much in Hagerstown, but the community is very involved with the school system and volunteering. Now, that person that mentioned the housing market in Hagerstown, now there were a couple of houses, I want to say about a year or two ago, that were for sale here in Hagerstown. And I thought about buying one of those houses, but when I went to look at the house, the lot size was a lot smaller than what was advertised. And then there was another house out here which needed too much work. So I will say, yes, that person is correct. Houses that are for sale out here do get snatched up real quick. And people do pay a premium price for houses out here because, as I've anticipated, you got people moving out here probably from places like Newcastle and Richmond. And Richmond does have its issues too when it comes to certain type of crime. And so given that this community is between Richmond and Newcastle, a lot of people are moving here from Richmond too, I'm assuming. So that furthermore goes to support my theory of what could happen out here by the 2030 census. Okay, all right, this next comment is another 4-star. This is an older one. It's from October of 2016. Hagerstown is a small but close community. Even through hardships, the members of the town look out for one another, not without its downfalls. In recent years, the arrival of new businesses and a push for active community involvement has proven Hagerstown to be a growing organism capable of change and evolution. Okay, whatever. I'm not even going to try to decipher what that means. Whatever. Okay, we're going to jump down to 3 stars. This first one is from March of 2021. It's a 3-star. I have lived in Hagerstown for several years, and honestly, it's a fairly average town. There isn't much diversity in the people, and the school isn't very good. There are a bunch of small businesses in the area, though. Bots Candy is a very neat place to visit, along with other shops on the main street. Other than that, it's no diamond in the rough. And well, I don't think this town is rough in the first place, but that's my opinion. It may not be a diamond, but I don't think this town is rough though. I think this town is very neatly kept, and most people appear to have a sense of pride in their community and also in their dwelling. Okay, this next one is another 3-star from January of 2020. Hagerstown is a very small town in Indiana. While it is very welcoming and friendly, it can be intimidating as a small town. Everyone knows everyone, so secrets are not kept well. Yeah, well, there's ways to go around there's ways to go around the whole secret thing, So I'll just keep it like that. I mean, I'm not going to say that I personally agree with that person's comment when it comes to intimidation. Now, me personally, I don't find, not all small towns are created equal. Now, in this particular town, I don't find anything about it intimidating. Maybe that person may have came here from a larger community, and that's why they said what they said. But that's my assumption. All right, let's keep going. Okay, we're going to drop down to the 2 stars. This first one is a 2-star from December of 2019. To be honest, this used to be an amazing little town with a lot of little shops and an overall sense of hometown pride. Unfortunately, heroin in the area has reared its ugly head and taken over the lives of many of the teens and adults. The crime rates have gone up, mostly theft and domestic violence, and isn't as safe as it was. The jobs in the local area pay very little and are often temporary. Most residents have to travel to Richmond or Muncie to work. I'd say that this is an area that it's better to avoid. If the housing market in the area wasn't so bad, I'd sell my house and leave this town. Okay, so I guess according to this individual, the housing market back in 2019 was lousy. So from 2019 to what it is now, obviously the housing market has changed for the better. But with the recession looming, it could change back to being lousy again. Who knows? And that's another thing. You're not too far from Muncie. So, if you have somebody in your family that is going to Ball State, or they want to attend Ball State, or maybe you yourself might be looking to work at Ball State but don't want to live in Muncie. Again, this is a decent small town alternative to Muncie. I mean, of course, you got a lot of other small towns not far from Muncie, but you know, this is one of them. Okay, and I got another 2-star comment from October of 2019. What can I even say? It's minuscule. There's Confederate flags everywhere, and the school system is horrible. About the best thing I can say about it is the library is nice. The best thing they can say is the library is nice. If you absolutely have to live there, live here, eat at the dairy. Eat at the dairy, okay. They have really good burgers, and their tacos is wonderful as well. Not to mention the ice cream. Other than that, stay clear of this little former sundown town. Okay, I did not know that Hagerstown used to be a sundown town. I had no idea. Not that I'm surprised, because after all, this is the United States and we are in Indiana, so it is what it is. Well, that's going to do it for my commentary. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. As always, feel free to drop a comment in the comment section. Give me your 2 cents about how you feel. Whatever is important that I may not mention on this video, put it in the comment section for all of us. And if you like what I do on the channel, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by giving videos like this a thumbs up as well. And on that note, stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.